The European Union didn't believe Boris Johnson's madman, no Brexit deal bluff. According to Michel Barnier. I'm going to read into this more from The Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from The Independent with the headline that the EU didn't believe Boris Johnson's madman no Brexit deal bluff. The former PM made huge mistakes, says Michel Barnier, who backs Labour's plan for post-Brexit veterinary deal. So, obviously ignore the video, that's just something that was on there. But so he's claiming that the EU never bought what Boris Johnson was selling. In terms of the no deal thing, that it was empty threats all along, and it was kind of like I just feel like the whole at that time, I think it was just a case to try to appease to the British public and make them saying, look, we're clamping down on the EU, we're thumping down on them and the way they're treating us in this deal. But behind closed doors, it was a very different matter. But publicly, they wanted to paint that picture, obviously, for the British public that they were doing something about it, with the whole farce. It's like, does the headline really surprise you though? I'm curious, does that headline actually surprise you? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll probably talk more as we go along, but let's just read into it, shall we? So the European Union negotiators did not believe Boris Johnson's bluff that he was prepared to pull the EU out of the blob with a no-deal Brexit, Michel Barnier has revealed. The EU's former Brexit negotiator said he knew that the former PM was not serious about his madman claim to be ready to exit without a trade deal agreement with Brussels. The absolute idea of leaving the European Union without a deal would have been catastrophic on an absolutely global scale. If you actually think about, I don't know how many of you have been paying attention to the COVID inquiry, but if you heard some of the things that have been said about the way he conducted himself, the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson there, and you're just thinking, excuse me, do you actually think that he would be mad enough yet to do this? And part of me thinks, yeah, I think he's actually crazy enough to do it because he doesn't understand the consequences of pulling out with a no deal. I think he was that mad, Boris Johnson, and it was just a case of just trying to appease the media from him, allegedly. I think he was absolutely serious about it, even though Michel Barnier here is saying that he wasn't serious. I think he was, based on, and I'm basing my evidence based on what I've heard so far about Boris Johnson in the COVID inquiry. About the incompetence and how much he didn't care, and this tells me that he was, and that paints this picture to me. Well, if he didn't care there, what makes you think he cared about securing a trade deal with the European Union? Put that in your thoughts for a moment, guys. Do you really think he cared? If you've been paying attention to the COVID inquiry and how incompetent that he was there, I don't believe Michel Barnier saying he was not serious. I think he really wanted to do it, and people said we can't. It'd be too much damage to the UK economy, and I don't think he honestly cared. I think he just wanted to make headlines. But let me know if you agree with my analysis on the basis of what you've heard from the COVID inquiry, guys. In scathing comments, Mr. Barnier also said Mr. Johnson's ministers did not know or understand the consequences of Brexit. French politician also backs Sir Keir Starmer's plan for a veterinary deal to help ease trade barriers, but dismissed Labour's plans to go through Mr Johnson's Brexit deal page by page. Okay, that's dear. I'm just gonna stay silent for a moment on that one. From the very first day, the UK ministers not only underestimate the consequences of Brexit, they did not know the consequences of Brexit, Michel Barnier told the Financial Times. The ex-negotiator criticised the then Prime Minister Theresa May for ruling out any membership to the single market or customs union from the outset, and said Mr Johnson had made a huge mistake by imposing deadlines on Brexit. He had no time. This is the thing. the British politicians backed themselves into a corner that they did not need to do. Yeah, they did not need to put themselves in this corner. They should have been taking their time and been, you know, in my opinion, it should have been done like in a 10-year threshold, over 10 years, and we gave ourselves less than 4 or 5 years to do it. It's just like they rushed everything at the time. It just felt like everything was rushed. Like this was such a major thing for us. And I just think it was handled so badly. The deal, it was handled so badly when you look back on it. And of course, it's easy to say, well, if Labour were doing it, they would have been done. Do you honestly think Ed Miliband or Jeremy Corbyn or even Keir Starmer, do you honestly think they would have acted in the way that the Conservatives would do? Please let me know in the comment section down below if you guys think they would have acted any differently, the same as the Conservatives. I'm curious to know. Because I honestly think that those who are in the Leave end did not, and I'm in agreement with Michelle Barnier, they did not understand how much of an impact, how much damage it was going to be once we'd left specifically the customs union, the single market. That was the thing. Excuse me. That was the thing I think was the bigger picture there. The damage was just we are still feeling, and we're still suffering right now from the shockwaves of it still. And the only reason you don't hear about it is because you don't go out of your way to look for it, or the papers try not to tell it, and people always try to point the finger. It's something else. It's always something else. Oh, it's because what's happening in Gaza right now. Oh, it's because of the war in Ukraine. Oh, it's Vladimir Putin. Oh, it's the oil prices. It's this and that and this and that. It's always trying to point you to the fingers of somewhere else and not this as being one of the big caveats. The big white elephant in the room, as I like to refer to. The big white elephant in the room that nobody's allowed to acknowledge or talk about, which is Brexit. The ex-negotiator criticised... yeah, I've talked about that, sorry. Mr Barnier also revealed that he did not believe Mrs May when she warned of a potential no-deal Brexit, but did not believe her successor as he tried to up the ante with threats to crash the country out of the UK without any deal. Johnson said once, "I want a deal because I need a deal. This sentence was key for me," he said on the former Tory leader's bluff, known as the madman theory, when the negotiator attempted to suggest he is capable of anything. So he's claiming this is what Boris Johnson said. I still think he would have been mad enough to go without a deal. This is Boris Johnson we're talking about. Mr Barnier added, "I wasn't surprised by the madman strategy. I was told that this strategy was taught in university in the UK." The former negotiator was also ridiculed by the UK government's attempts to divide the EU countries in a bid to weaken the European Commission's hand during talks. "The British did not understand. They tried every week to divide us. I visited one capital every week. The day before I came, there was a British minister, the day after, which is incredible." The former French cabinet minister, who failed in his bid to become the French Republican presidential candidate in 2022, was enthusiastic about the possibility of a Labour government. He said that Sir Keir's plan for a new UK-EU veterinary standards agreement to ease some of the costly trade checks on food and agricultural products seems to be pragmatic and possible. But he played down the idea of rewriting the Brexit deal at the 2025 review of the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement, referring to Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy's pledge to go through it page by page, and Mr Barnier said, "Good luck." He told the Financial Times that there is no room for reopening the deal, although there is also always possible to improve the functions of the agreement and some technical plans. Mr Barnier also made it clear that he was against the idea of reopening the Brexit deal to delay tariffs to be imposed on the UK and EU automobile industry from January 2024. Manufacturing across the continent has warned of devastating price wars, with the new rules of origin coming into effect, threatening the emergence in the electric vehicle market because of China's dominance in the electric battery production. Yeah, that's a big problem. That's a biggie. That's a really biggie problem there, that lot. Rishi Sunak's government is pushing for the European Commission to agree to delay the costly new rules to come in at the start of next year, but Brussels has shown no sign of willing to budge. Mr. Barnier said he was not in favour of any type of flexibility, concerned that he could see a precedent to reopen more of a trade agreement. Britain has lost a financial passport. There will be no flexibility. Yeah, there shouldn't be any flexibility. Like, they're just trying to kick the can down the road and make it Labour's problem. And they, this it's just been an absolute farce from the start, this whole Brexit thing, guys. And it's some interesting insight from Michel Barnier, I would say, there. But I still think, and again, as I said, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong if you don't think I would agree with me, but I think Boris Johnson would have been mad enough to leave us without a deal if he could have done. I really think he could. Could Theresa May have handled it better? Yes, but at the same time, she needed the support of the DUP, didn't she? That was the problem for her, and she had to appease the Leave side as well, which put her in a difficult position, and she just could not get what she wanted through, which was frustrating to say the least. And I think you look back on that deal that she had, and you think, had that passed with the support of Labour, just think of where we would be now. We'd still be within the EU single market, I think. Things would have been completely different, I think. But I digress, of course. It's always to look back and think of what if, and how did this happen, and why does this happen, and what could have been done different. But I just think Boris Johnson, yeah, he was just like, Barnier's claiming that he needed a deal. I think I don't know if he was desperate. Part of me feels that he was mad enough to go for a no deal. But yeah, I just think they were all over the place. They were absolutely all over the place. And Labour saying they're not going to be able to make fundamental changes. But they're going to try to make things as easy as possible for businesses, and they need to try and make things easier for businesses if they come into power at the next general election. And I always say if, because nothing is guaranteed, of course. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with Michel Barnier's comments? Do you think Boris Johnson was that desperate for a deal? Do you agree with me that Boris Johnson would have been mad enough to go out with a no deal, given what we know about the former Prime Minister? Could Theresa May have handled things better, perhaps? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media and hit the bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, you can do that by buying me a coffee or joining me on Patreon. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.